So welcome back to our new lecture sessions on microcircuits and systems AVR 613. So we were discussing about microwave transistor amplifier, and in the lecture 9 at very end part we actually came up with a very important gain parameter, and we found out that this gain parameter was actually your PL by PAVS, which we termed a transducer gain, which we termed it as transducer gain. At very end part we have defined, this is the one which we have defined it as transducer gain. And then we have discussed one special case where we put actually tau s equal to tau l equal to 0, which means that there is no reflection occurs at an output port and at the input port. So that means that the source is also terminated with a characteristic impedance Z0, and the load is also terminated with the characteristic impedance Z0. And why I am saying so, because if you see my microwave network, if you see my microwave network, this Z0 and this Z0 which is here present, they are actually now will be matched to ZL, and here since it is terminated with Z0, they are also matched with Z0. So gotten expressions where tau s tau l, if you put the 0, then the transistor's intrinsic gain that you can get, which is mod of S21 square. Now when actually you are putting it, the conditions tau s equal to tau l 0, which physically signifies that the load reflection and source reflection will not be there, but which is not possible because the source we cannot all the time directly match it to the transistors. So we need to have some matching circuit, and that we have put in between, and together we found out this total block, and I call it as a high frequency amplifier. So it is more fundamentally and more renownedly known as high frequency amplifier design. So one more special case that can be designed from here. So one special case is this, and other special case is so if I put in this equation, or let's say this equation, I am writing it as GT, and I am putting it in three different categories. So let's say I am writing it 1 minus of mod of tau s square divided by 1 minus tau s tau in whole square. Then I am putting it at mod S21 whole square, and then secondly I am putting it as mod tau l square divided by 1 minus tau l S22 whole square. See, this is the term that I am getting is due to the input matching. Because of that it is coming, because the term tau s is involved here. This is the term which is coming because of the tau l present. So this is the term which will take care about the output matching. So this input, this is the input, this is the output, and finally this is the single element transistor gain. These three together forms the GT, which is known as transducer gain. Now I can write it that this GT, this I can term it as GS, this I can term it as G0, and this I can term it as GL. Now here, if the transistors is unilateral, let's say if the transistor is unilateral, in that case I can write my tau in equal to S11 plus S12 S21 tau L divided by 1 minus S22 S22 tau L. So if my transistors are unilateral, that means there is only forward energy propagation. So if it is my gain stage, so I have written, say suppose if it is my gain stage, then it will be G naught. Okay, now this G naught is nothing but your S21. But in case of unilateral thing, we can call the transistors as unilateral if S12 will be 0, because the port 2 you are feeding it and port 1 you are expecting power. So this is the forward propagation energy, this is the backward propagation energy. So the backward propagation energy, which was termed as S12, will be 0 and the transistors will be called unilateral. So S12, if I put 0, my tau in will be only S11, because this is the whole factor will be 0. Now, so my GT for unilateral case, I can write it, it will be GTU 1 minus mod of tau s whole square divided by S11 tau s mod whole square, and then it will be mod of S21 whole square 1 minus mod tau l whole square divided by 1 minus S22 tau l mod whole square. So this GTU is called the unilateral transducer power gain. This is just a derived version of the transducer power gain that yesterday we have defined. From that we have defined for a specific condition, which is unilateral transducer power gain. So I am writing it in bracket, my GTU, it will be unilateral transducer power gain. So in general, these are the power gains which existed. Last class we have stopped here, and then we have few things left. So today that I have covered, and it actually an extended discussion of lecture 8. It should have been a part of my lecture 8 because it discusses about the power gain. So in general, if you design a microwave high frequency amplifier, you have to take this parameter, you have to see that for a case of matching what is the input impedance of these sides, and that input impedance has to be matched with the source impedance, let's say, which is 50 ohm, and for that we need an input matching network to design. The similar way I have to see what is the output here, and from that output thing we have to match it with the one which is the ZL. Generally it is 50 ohm because it is connected to a physical device, and any RF physical device that we see for measurement, they all have matched it with 50 ohm. So for that the output matching circuit is required. Now my question to you, so together this total combined circuit is a study of high frequency amplifier design. Now the questions may come, or I can make you think in this direction. See, whenever I am writing the formula of tau in, there is a variable which is involved here, which is tau L. So load reflection coefficient. So the moment you will the problem is, the moment you will change this load reflection coefficient here, the dependency tau in will be changed. Now if the tau in is changed, so their tau in will be changed. So the load reflection changes means tau in will be changing. Then the input matching circuit will you have to change, because it will no longer tune to that same frequency band. Now my question to you is that every time you depend tau L, changes tau L, the effect will come at input, or the input reflection coefficient. In the similar way, if you see the expression of tau out, here it is involved a quantity called tau s. So the moment you are going to change the tau s, again the tau out is going to change. So if I start here, tau will changes. Based on that, my tau in will change. So tau s, that changes tau s. The moment tau s changes, it will again change the tau out, and then you have to again change the tau l. So it is like a snake which is trying to eat its own tail. It is a kind of circular. One you are trying to adjust, the other one you are you are taking the help of that to adjust, to nullify or to compensate that adjustment, and in a turn the whole system is getting detuned. So the GTU case, whatever I have just now mentioned, in this, the advantage is whenever you are putting this 0 for unilateral case, the tau L dependency is not arising at the tau in, and this you can directly match. So that is why the matching with unilateral case is easy. So but it doesn't mean that if the S12 is not 0, rather if it is a bilateral case where the S12 is not 0, then how the matching should be done, there also some rules are there. That also we will see if the time permits. And this unilateral case also we'll see in more detail in the upcoming lectures. So so this is the discussion so far on power gain, and there is a new issue in high frequency amplifier design that one has to take care, is the stability. So we will more start today in our lecture 10, and which would be based on the stability. Okay, so this is the, so I should say that it is my lecture 9, and I will say here it is extended. The extension I have put it on 4/12/2020. Okay, now today I will start about stability in lecture 10. So it is lecture 10. So today's date is 4/12/2020, and the topic is transistor stability. So first let me draw the basic high frequency block, which was like this. It is the characteristic impedance. This is, let's say, ZL. VS, and it is ZS. Now, so I will see the input reflection and the output reflection. So similarly here two things are coming, so I can write it, this is tau L, similarly it is tau out, it is tau in, it is tau S, V1 plus, this is V1 minus, this is V2 plus, and this is V2 minus. So this is the block that should be always there with us, because this is the fundamental transistors amplifier or the grain stage, which is in a normal fashion just connected with an arbitrary load ZL and an arbitrary source impedance of a VS source called ZS. And for that all the reflection coefficients arises that the same way we have described and defined in our lecture 9. Now that we all know that an unstable amplifier is good, because it is actually giving you an oscillating actions, because you can generate an oscillator out of that. So we have to see that in which case, we all know that in some controlled oscillation is required, and that controlled oscillation has some criteria so that we can make an amplifier to make it a good oscillator. Now my question is to you, under what conditions, my question to you is that under what condition will an amplifier oscillate? So the answer to my question is the amplifier will go unstable if either of these two conditions are true. Any of the conditions, if it is true, then the amplifier will go for unstable. So what are actually those conditions? So let me write that the conditions are, first I will write my mod of tau in, which is S11 plus S12 S21 tau L divided by 1 minus S22 tau L. We have seen in my last lecture how we calculated it. And if my mod of tau out S22 plus S12 S21 tau S divided by 1 minus S11 tau S, if these two parameters they go greater than 1. So in other words, the amplifier will oscillate if either the output or the input reflection coefficient of what? Of this gain element, which is termed as S, has a magnitude greater than 1. This is the physically I can say that my amplifier will try to go for oscillation. But just wait. See, I am telling you this input reflection coefficient and output reflection coefficient to go beyond 1, but this actually is something that you probably may not agree with me, because you may think that how it is going greater than 1. We all know that these reflection coefficients from your BTech knowledge or RF and microwave communication knowledge, we all know that this reflection coefficient tau, which is ZL minus Z0 minus divided by ZL plus Z0, is generally, it is mod of tau is less than 1. Then how it can be greater than 1? Actually you are correct in that way, but you should keep it in mind that this whatever you have defined, that at that time it was a passive device, but now it may not be a passive device, it may be suitable for active device. Why it is an active device? Because we are using a DC power, isn't it? We are using a DC power, we are using a DC bias. So suppose if this is my transistors, obviously there will be a VCC present, and this VCC there will be an RF choke, and you have a present here that I have not yet till now introduced, because but it is very much there. So these are RF choke. So if it is an active device, then this tau greater than 1 is very much possible for an active device. But we learned that also in our second case. So this is one of our understanding, and the second understanding was that if we draw a Smith chart which is look like this, let's say it looks like this, then my question to you is that if this is the boundary line of mod tau equal to 1, because that's how we draw our Smith chart in RF micro communication, then this tau greater than 1, quantity, where actually it does lie, because this entire thing was tau less than mod tau equal to 1, and the region which you have getting here is all passive real load, positive passive real load. So then tau greater than 1 corresponding to the corresponding to that impedances, resistances, where they will lie. Actually you would be surprised to know, or if you can intuitively you can think that this tau greater than 1 is actually the region where the reflection coefficient greater than 1 means that impedances Z in and Z out could have real components that have negative value. So this actually suggests that my Z in or Z out could have real, that is resistive components that are negative. So few things it directly follows. The moment I am discussing the instability means greater than 1, and the moment if it is going greater than 1, you may think why it is happening, because it is an active device, you are taking energy from the DC, and it may go greater than 1, the circuit may break into oscillation, and that time you will get a reflection coefficient greater than 1, means we have a input impedance, output impedance, which may go real but negative value. Now again I am telling, if you go to the market and if you ask a manufacturer to give you to supply a negative resistance, he may not give, because it is fictitious, it may not be possible. But for depending on the circuit conditions, theoretically it is possible to have a negative resistance. And negative resistance, how you should appreciate and how you should think it of, that I have a resistance where if the voltage I apply, then the current I will get in an opposite fashion, and that's what it means, a negative resistance, and it can generate power. Any oscillator you try to design, there must have been a negative resistance, and the way it is coming is actually hidden in these two equations, and how it is differing, how it is deviating from your normal knowledge, that also I have described here. Now the next question is that, before going to the next question, I will again re-emphasize on these two equations, and I will tell you that these two are extremely important equations. Let's say I am writing this equation as A and I am writing this equation as B. So if these two equations are defining the stability, then I can say that for a given transistor, my S parameter is fixed. So the stability or instability, whatever you say, for a given transistors when S parameter is fixed, the stability or instability depends only on the tau L and tau S. Because once I am fixing the transistors, my S parameters are fixed. So then the range of tau L and tau S will give you whether it can satisfy the greater than 1, less than 1 or equal to 1 criteria. So if it is my criteria for instability, so my criteria for stability it will be obviously mod of tau in S11 plus S12 S21 tau L divided by 1 minus S22 tau L less than 1. Similar way, my tau out, it will be S22 plus S21 S12 S21 tau S by 1 minus S11 tau S less than 1. This is the criteria for stability, and equal to 1 if you assume, then this is the critical stability, and we are in a boundary line. So what I will do, we will start with the equation, and let's say the equation we are starting with, mod of tau in equal to 1. So from that, let's say we are starting. So tau in, mod of tau in value I will put, which is S11 plus S12 S21 tau L divided by 1 minus S22 tau L equal to 1. So now I will multiply it. So it will be S11 1 minus S22 tau L plus S12 S21 tau L magnitude equal to 1 minus S22 tau L. Now again I can write S11 S22 tau L plus S21 S12 tau L, and it is 1 minus S22 tau L. So determinant of the S matrix. So if it is my determinant S11 S12 S21 S22, so determinant would be S11 S22 minus S21 S12. So it will be from this, using this determinant, I can write the equation as S11 minus of delta tau L equal to 1 minus S22 tau L mod. Now what I'll do, I will squaring it up. This I'll square. Now squaring on both sides. Now squaring on both sides. So if you square it up, you will get a big equations. I am writing this equation, please follow. It will be mod of S11 square plus delta square mod of tau L square minus of delta tau L S11 star plus delta star tau L star, which is a conjugate quantity. Star means conjugate quantities, equal to 1 plus mod of S22 square mod of tau L square S22 star tau L star plus S22 tau. So from this, with a little bit of step jump, I am writing it the final expression. We will have an expression where tau L star and then we will have minus S22 minus of delta S11 star and then we will have tau L plus S22 star minus delta star S11 tau L star S22 square minus mod of delta square, and this side it will be mod of S11 square minus 1 divided by mod of S22 square minus mod of delta square. So this step, I did this step jump. Actually it is there in the Poser book, you can see it. Now what I have to do, I have to do a quantity, I have to add a quantity, adding a quantity S22 minus del S11 star square divided by mod of S22 square mod of delta square whole square both side. So this quantity I have to add here, and also I have to add this quantity here. Now why I am doing it here, because Finally, after doing this, I will get an equation which would look like tau L S22 minus del of S11 star whole to the power star divided by mod of S22 whole square minus of delta square equal to S12 S21 divided by S22 square delta square. This is an extremely important equation. Why I am telling it, it is important because no matter the way I got this equation, you can anyhow get it from any standard microwave book. You can see it in Poser, and some of the things that I am teaching it here, you will get it from Gonzalez. There is a very good of Gonzalez. I am writing it here, Gonzalez. I think his first name is Guillermo Gonzalez. He is a book of microwave transistors amplifiers. So it is a book of microwave transistors amplifier. So all the books actually have this derivation. The point is how I got the derivation. I starting from a basic equation where mod tau in equal to 1 was there. Why? Because I am starting to investigate the stability. So I starting condition, I have put it equal to 1. And I have seen the greater than 1 is actually the lead for oscillation, less than 1 is for stability. So with 1 I have started and I got an equation, and if you see this equation, it is actually known to you because this equation gives you of a form tau minus C equal to R, where this C I can think it of this and the R I can think it of this, and this equation is nothing but an equation of a circle. This is an equation of a circle having a center C and radius R. So C is this, R is this. Now, so but this circle that I got, in which plane actually it is? Obviously it is in tau plane. What is tau? The load reflection coefficient in my case, because the suffix is L here. And also you see that one more beautiful thing that is directly coming up from here is that this C is actually a complex number, which is a point, a coordinate in a Smith chart in a tau plane. So it may be a complex number. So the center is a complex number, and the radius is actually a real number. Radius cannot be a complex number. See, this is a real number. So radius is a real number. So then the question is that, so if I write separately, so if I write separately here, so I got my CL, which is which will be S22 minus of delta S11 star, this is star, and mod of S22 square minus mod of delta square, and this is my center. Similar way, my radius I am writing it RL, which is S12 S21. The denominator is same in both the cases, and it will be a radius. But I have not named it. See, I have started with mod tau in equal to 1. To get these two equations or two expressions, I started from mod tau in equal to 1, if you can remember correctly. And whenever I am doing mod tau in equal to 1, it gives me a range of tau L that follows a particular circular expressions. So that is why I am telling that the circle that I am getting after putting the value of CL and RL is actually known as output stability circle. So I am writing it. These are actually center and radius of a output stability circle. this is named as output stability circle. Then so be careful. If you should not think in that way that I have started with tau in equal to 1, so the moment I am getting C and R should be input stability circle. No, it is output stability circle, because I am again repeating, you have started with the expression mod tau in equal to 1, and while you have progressed with that equation, you have got an equation with tau L. So the range of tau L, how they were forming the circle, how the locus is forming, is in the tau L plane. That is why it is output side. L is load, output side. That is why it is output stability circle. In the same way, then one can define the input stability circle. So I am writing the same way, input stability circle. I am not deriving it. Gonzalez and I think Posar, they both have this derivation. So the input stability circle I can directly write after seeing the CL and RL, and we know that one has to start to do that is mod tau out equal to 1, because the tau out expression is having a parameter tau s involved here, and with that if we proceed with this similar kind of analysis, then I will get my CS and RS, and just by looking at CL and RL I can write CS and RS. So it will be CS and RS, and let me write it. So CS will be, it will not be S22, it will be S11 minus delta S22 star, just the opposite quantities. Whatever it was there here 2 2, it will be replaced by 1 1 and 1 1 by 2 2, and the same way in the denominator, mod of S11 square minus mod of delta square. And here also I will write it like that. The radius will be S12. The change will not understand, you cannot understand because it is in multiplicative form, and then it will be mod of S11 square and mod of delta square. So I should write it that it is input stability circle, and it is the center, and it is my radius. So just to summarize what I did, I have today discussed the stability, and then from a basic transistors block, I have terminated with a load and a general load and a source, and the load reflection, source reflection coefficient I have defined, and then I have defined the criteria for stability and instability, and then I have found out that why this load reflection and source reflection coefficient, they are forming this input stability and output stability circle, and I found out their radius. Okay, so today I will conclude my lecture till this point. From my next lecture, that is lecture 11, I will discuss more about this, and we will try to plot this in a reflection Smith chart plane, and we will try to investigate the stability. Till then, goodbye. So you go through this, and if you have any problem regarding it, we will discuss it in a live session. Okay, thank you. Till then, goodbye.